Hello students, Bindu Chaudhary is with you in your social science class. Today we are covering our past part 3rd chapter 8th, and in this chapter we covered our part 1st, and today we are covering women's caste and reform part 2nd. But before covering part 2nd, let's recall the previous one. Yes, what's the condition of women in that time and what's the steps took place by many peoples, many reformers, and what's the casteism system on that time, and we are talking about reform. So what's the main role of reformers in improving the casteism as well as improving the conditions of women? So that was the intro and starting part, and today we are covering our part 2nd, and in this one we are taking our topic changing the lives of widows. Who were changing? That's the main thing. Ram Mohan Roy, name, prominent name of the reformers, was particularly moved by the problems widows faced in their lives. Yes, widows faced many problems in their lives, as Sati Pratha, as their early marriage and early widowhood, and with that many consequences took place in their lives, as the husband's family didn't cooperate them, or many other reasons also. For that one, Ram Mohan Roy began a campaign against the practice of sati. Yes, Sati Pratha was there, and Ram Mohan Roy, reformer, took initiative for the practice of sati. He was totally against the Sati Pratha. And when we are talking about Ram Mohan Roy, see, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, and this painting painted by Rembrandt Peale in the year 1833. See, many things establishes, many things denotes by his face also, how he reformed the lives of widows. So Ram Mohan Roy was well versed in Sanskrit. First of all, we give you intro about Ram Mohan Roy. Very well versed in Sanskrit as well as Persian and several other Indian and European languages. It means he was very intellectual fellow. He tried to show through his writings that the practice of widow burning had no sanction in ancient texts. So with the help of the ancient texts, Raja Ram Mohan Roy proved himself that all this Sati Pratha system was not in the ancient text. Then why all these things were going on at present? At present, it means in that time when these Sati Prathas were going on. So Raja Ram Mohan Roy always opposed all these things with the help of the ancient text. By the early 19th century, as you have read in chapter 7th, many British officials had also begun to criticize Indian traditions and customs. Yes, many Britishers came there and they always opposed the traditions, they always opposed the customs of our Indians, because they thought that these traditions and concepts and these customs totally orthodox, and they thought that totally not in favor of the society. That's why just we studied in our chapter 7th, and in that one also we read about the British officials who always criticized our traditions, criticized our customs as well. They were therefore more than willing to listen to Ram Mohan Roy, who was reputed to be a learned man. And that's why the main reason behind that these British officials listen carefully to Ram Mohan Roy. And with the results of this fellow, in 1829 Sati was banned. Yes, Sati Pratha totally banned by the system, and all these things were by whom's efforts? By the efforts of Ram Mohan Roy, and always British officials heard his voice because he totally put his concepts with the ancient texts, with the thoughts and thinkings of our text. Okay, when we are talking about one more reformers, then we have the name of Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar. This one, painting of Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar. And when we are talking about Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, students, the main thing after widow or Sati Pratha banned, what's the next to the lives of the widow? See, for instance, one of the most famous reformers, Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, used the ancient texts. So these always took the help of ancient texts as a proof. So with the help of ancient text, Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar suggests that widows could remarry. Yes, सबसे पहले सती प्रथा बैंड हुई 1829 में. उसके बाद में विडोज की लाइफ्स का क्या होगा? वो अभी भी जो उनकी पुरुष फैमिली, इट मीन्स पति के जो परिवार है उनके द्वारा प्रताड़ित की जाती थी, साथ ही उनकी खुद की फैमिली भी उन्हें प्रताड़ित करती थी, समाज के लोग भी उन्हें निकृष्ट भावना से देखते थे. तो उस कंडीशन में ईश्वर चंद विद्यासागर ने क्या किया? ही टुक इनिशिएटिव एंड विद द हेल्प ऑफ एंशिएंट टेक्स्ट he suggests that widows could remarry, and with all his efforts and the other reformers efforts, what happened, students? His suggestion was adopted by British officials and a law was passed in the year 1856 permitting widows remarry. It means two different laws were passed. First 1829 Sati Pratha banned, and next in the year 1856 with the help of the reformer Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, these British officials took initiative and passed a law in the year 1856 permitting widows remarriage. So the concept is clear in our mind that those who were against the remarriage of widows opposed Vidyasagar and even boycotted him. सब कुछ अच्छा चलता रहे ऐसा तो नहीं था. ईश्वर चंद विद्यासागर को ही बायकॉट कर दिया गया सोसाइटी के द्वारा, बिकॉज ही टुक इनिशिएटिव फॉर द बेटरमेंट ऑफ द लाइव्स ऑफ द विडो, एंड इवन he opposed by his own society members also. By the second half of the 19th century, the movement in favor of widow remarriage spread to other parts of the country. So not only in one part, all the other states, all the other parts of our country, all these new concepts of remarriage of widows spread, and all the concepts accepted by the society later or sooner. In the Telugu speaking areas of the Madras Residency, Veera Salingam Pantulu formed an association for widow marriage or remarriage. When we are talking about different parts of India, so first of all Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, then in the Telugu speaking areas, who took initiative, students? Veera Salingam Pantulu took initiative and he formed an association for widows remarriage. Okay, around the same time young intellectuals and reformers in Bombay pledged themselves to working for the same cause. So not only in one part of India, all these widows remarriages issue is spread in all the other parts of India, in the Telugu speaking as well as in the young intellectuals and reformers associations also. So they also took initiative for the betterment of the lives of the widows. In the north, who took initiative, students? Swami Dayananda Saraswati, who founded the reform association called Arya Samaj, also supported widow remarriage. So not only one fellow, other fellows, other reformers also came forward for the betterment of the remarriages of the widows. Those who married were not easily accepted, but the situations, as we thought, is not so much easy in that era. Why? Because those who married were not easily accepted in society, and conservative groups continued to oppose the new laws. Many reasons were behind. So these conservative groups always opposed this new law. They thought that these remarriages affects the society people. Okay, so for the Sati Pratha banned, for the remarriages, other than all these things, education was also the main aim of the reformers for the women, and for this purpose they started education. So girls began going to school. This one was also the big change in our society. Many of the reformers felt that education for girls was necessary in order to improve the conditions of women. Why these reformers felt? Many reasons behind this one. Okay, so Vidyasagar in Calcutta and many other reformers in Bombay set up schools for girls, because they thought that if any girl or any woman is educated, then the whole family is educated, and if the whole family is educated, then the whole society and whole nation is educated. That's why these reformers took initiative for the education of these girls. Not only Vidyasagar in Calcutta, but also many other reformers in Bombay, they started set up schools for the girls. But these lines are not easy in the fields of reformers or in the fields of the girls also, because education, it's okay, they wanted to earn education, but society manegi kya? Society had their own concepts, and many people opposed all these things. When the first schools were opened in the mid 19th century, many people were afraid of them. Why these people afraid, students? They had their own orthodox concept in their mind. That's why they afraid by the starting of the schools for girls. They feared that schools would take girls away. Away from where? Away from home. Prevent them from doing their domestic duties. Because they thought that domestic duties are the main aims of women, and only all these women are for the domestic work. That's why they feared in their mind that if the girls would take schools or would go to schools, then what happened, students? They thought that they were away from home and domestic works, and who will do all these things? At present, who is doing work at your home, students? Your mother, as well as whole family plus servants. Same time, on that time only women were there for the domestic work. Okay. Moreover, girls had to travel through public places in order to reach school. So the other concept also in their mind. What's the main concept? कि लड़कियों को स्कूल जाने के लिए पूरा जो समाज का बीच का रास्ता है, इट मीन्स जो पब्लिक प्लेस है, भले ही वह बाजार है, भले ही दुकानें आ रही है, भले ही दूसरा लोकल प्लेस जो वहाँ पे सारे लोग वहाँ पे हैं, वहाँ से होकर गर्ल्स को जो है स्कूल के लिए जाना पड़ेगा. दैट्स वाई आल्सो दे अपोज्ड द गर्ल्स गोइंग टू स्कूल. इन द लेटर पार्ट ऑफ द सेंचुरी, schools for girls were established by the Arya Samaj in Punjab and Jyotirao Phule in Maharashtra. But all these orthodox concept was not in a position to be accepted by the society, because many reformers took initiative, and with that series in Punjab, Arya Samaj established many schools for girls, as well as Jyotirao Phule in Maharashtra started many schools for girls, and Jyotirao Phule's Mrs. Yes, Savitribai Phule, she also took initiative for the betterment of the education of the girls. In aristocratic Muslim households in North India, women learn to read Quran in Arabic. So not only Hindu girls started their own teachings on learning capacities, on education capacities, but when we are talking about the aristocratic Muslim families, in that also, especially in the North India part, what happened, students? Women learned to read Quran in Arabic language. It means not only Hindus but also Muslims took initiative in teaching to girls. They were taught by women who came home to teach. So the main reason is here, who will give teaching to the girls in home. So that's why these girls were taught by women who came home to teach. It means education was there, and one by one, not only Hindus as well as Muslims took initiative to teach them not only Hindi as well as other languages as well as Arabic in कुरान एंड अदर थिंग्स. ओके, सो कुरान भी अरेबिक में है, उसको भी वो आराम से पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं. पढ़ाई करने के लिए भी कौन आ रहा है? उनको घर पे ही पढ़ाने के लिए बच्चों लेडीज़ आती थी, जो उन्हें घर पे ही जो कुरान है वो अरेबिक लैंग्वेज में पढ़ना सिखाती थी. Some reformers such as Mumtaz Ali reinterpreted verses from the Quran to argue for women's education. So many reformers, not only men but women were also there, as Mumtaz Ali. Mumtaz Ali reinterpreted the verses from the Quran, and the main thing she argued that women's education is must. The first Urdu novels began to be written by whom? From the late 19th century. By whom, students? Many concepts were there of that time, but see, we are taking a picture here. Picture of what? Picture of students of Hindu Mahila Vidyalaya in the year 1875. वुमेन हु राइट अबाउट वुमेन. औरतें ही औरतों के ऊपर लिखना शुरू कर रही थी, उनकी बेटर लाइफ के बारे में लिखना शुरू कर रही थी. फ्रॉम द अर्ली 20th century, मुस्लिम वुमेन लाइक बेगम्स ऑफ भोपाल played a notable role in promoting education among women. Yes, when we are talking about the women's reformers, this one, Begum of Bhopal also took initiative for the betterment of the lives of the Muslim girls. They founded a primary school for girls at Aligarh, and that's the main reason they founded schools at Aligarh. And the main reason behind all this scenario is what, friends? To teach better education to girls. Another remarkable woman, Begum Ruqayya Shekhawat Hussain, started schools for Muslim girls in Patna एंड कलकत्ता. अब हम क्या देखते हैं बच्चों कि सिर्फ जो लड़कियों की पाठशालाएं हैं, स्कूल्स हैं, एक ही जगह विशेष पे नहीं खोली गई थी. वन बाय वन इन मैनी पार्ट्स ऑफ इंडिया ऑल द रिफॉर्मर्स टुक इनिशिएटिव इन स्टार्टिंग द स्कूल्स फॉर गर्ल्स. और जब हम मोमडन्स की बात करते हैं, मुस्लिम्स की बात करते हैं बच्चों, तो हमें फ़क्र होता है कि हमारी वो बहनें भी बराबर एजुकेशन लेती थीं, बराबर उसमें शामिल थे. और उनके लिए कौन इनिशिएटिव ले रहा था? मैनी वुमेन्स टुक इनिशिएटिव. बेगम एज वेल एज बेगम रुकैया शेखावत हुसैन, दे स्टार्टेड मुस्लिम गर्ल्स स्कूल्स इन पटना एंड कलकत्ता. She was a fearless critic of conservative ideas, arguing that religious leaders of every faith accorded an inferior place to women. And when we are talking about the reformer Begum Ruqayya Shekhawat, she had an opinion of herself. What the opinion? She had a fearless critic, and she said that conservative ideas always opposed the education of women's girls, and she argued that religious leaders whom every faith accorded an inferior place to women. हम क्या देखते हैं कि उन्होंने इतना ज़्यादा बोला, इतना अच्छा बोला. उन्होंने क्या बोला कि जो हमारे खुद के रिलीजियस लीडर्स हैं, उनके भी दिमाग में एक इन्फीरियर कंसेप्ट्स है वुमेन्स के लिए. By the 1880s, Indian women began to enter universities. So, lot of change in the lives of वुमेन्स. अब हम क्या देखते हैं, स्कूल्स खुले, स्कूल्स खुलते खुलते क्या पोजीशन आ गई है बच्चों, पोजीशन आ गई है इन द ईयर 1880s इंडियन वुमेन बिगेन टू एंटर इन यूनिवर्सिटीज. Not only this one, some of them trained to be doctors, some became teachers. It means not only teaching is there but vocational teaching also started, and they trained themselves in as a doctor, as a teachers. Many women began to write and publish their critical views on the place of women in society. पहले तो जेंट्स ने इनिशिएटिव लिया रिफॉर्म करने का सोसाइटी को स्कूल एजुकेशन पर्पज से, देन स्टार्टेड यूनिवर्सिटीज, देन फॉर द बेटरमेंट दे ट्रेंड फॉर डॉक्टर्स एज वेल एज टीचर्स. एंड one thing more, what students, many women began to write. For what students, many women began to write and publish their critical views on the place of women in societies. Yes, what's the position women hold in societies, they themselves described all these things in their novels, books and other things. We have one more name here, Tarabai Shinde. Tarabai Shinde, a woman educated at home at Pune, published a book, Stri Purush Tulna, a comparison between women and men, criticizing the social differences between men and women. So, many reformers, not only gents but ladies, women were there, and Tarabai Shinde as well as published a book, Stri Purush Tulna, and in that one she clearly mentioned the conditions of women of that era. When we are taking example of Pandita Ramabai, Pandita Ramabai, a great scholar of Sanskrit, felt that Hinduism, yes, Hinduism was oppressive towards women, and wrote a book about the miserable lives of upper caste Hindu women. So, not only lower class women suffered, but Pandita Ramabai wrote a book about the miserable lives of whom? About the miserable lives of upper caste Hindu women. So, many reformers, many publishers, many writers always wrote many things about the conditions of women. She founded a widows home at Pune to provide shelter to widows who had been treated badly by their husbands' relatives. अब यहाँ पे ही सिर्फ हम कहते हैं एजुकेशन हो गया है कंप्लीट, इट्स ओके, बट नॉट. She took initiative and she founded a shelter home for the widows, and for that one she started many things in Pune. Why? Because all these widows treated badly by their husbands' families. Their economic as well as their mental physical condition became very worse in the husband's family. Her women were trained so that they could support themselves economically. और हम क्या देखते हैं, पंडिता रमाबाई ने जो कि पुणे में एक शेल्टर होम, विडो शेल्टर होम खोला था, उसके पीछे रीज़न क्या था बच्चों? उसके पीछे रीज़न था कि दे ट्रेंड these widow ladies to support themselves economically. First condition, economic condition. So she trained them, she as well as other followers trained them, these widow families, these widow girls especially, these widow women especially, for what is trained? For the बेटर कंडीशन ऑफ इकोनॉमिक. यस, पैसे से उनको मजबूत करना बहुत ज़रूरी था, और इसीलिए ही हम कह सकते हैं कि पंडिता रमाबाई ने विडो शेल्टर होम खोला था. ओके, नीडलेस टू से ऑल दिस मोर देन अलार्म्ड द ऑर्थोडॉक्स. अब भैया इतना सब कुछ होने से फिनिश तो नहीं हो जाता, कई कंसेप्ट्स भी निकल के आए, और जो हम ऑर्थोडॉक्स कहते हैं ना, पुरातन पंथी, उन्होंने क्या किया? They started criticizing all these things. For instance, many Hindu nationalists felt that Hindu women were adopting Western ways. So these orthodox persons, they argued that these Hindu women were adopting the Western ways, and that this would corrupt Hindu culture and erode family values. So they had their own concept. Orthodox persons had their own concept about women, that if women got better education, so what's the impact in society? First of all, women adopt Western ways. Second thing, what? All these Hindu cultures corrupted by all these things, and all the family values erode by all these scenarios. Orthodox Muslims were also worried about the impact of these changes. So not only Hindu Orthodox persons were there, but Muslim Orthodox persons were also there who criticized all these new reforms in the lives of the girls. As you can see, by the end of the 19th century, women themselves were actively working for reform. So not only reformers in the men's were there, but women also reform the society and gives the better life to the women in their own economically as well as their own moral values with them. They wrote books. So women started many works as they wrote books, edited magazines, founded schools and training centers, and set up women's associations also. So all these things in the lives of the women came one by one, and they also took a better initiative for themselves as well as the other women of the society. When we are talking about all these things, from the early 20th century, they formed political pressure groups to push through laws for women suffrage. अब हम यहाँ suffrage की बात करते हैं. What's the meaning of suffrage? The right to vote. Before this one, in other countries also, women had no right of voting, but these educated women, they always argued and formed a political pressure groups for what? For the laws for female suffrage and better health care. Not only suffrage, but also better health care and education for women. So women took initiative for the betterment of the women themselves. Some of them joined various kinds of nationalist and socialist movements from the 1920s. So they not only started with the education, not only started with the magazines and tutorials and etc., but they also joined many nationalist as well as socialist movements with the 1920s. Okay, in the 20th century, leaders such as Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose lent their support to demands for greater equality and freedom for women. So not only reformers were there, but also political leaders also supported the better life for women, as they also favored that greater equality as well as freedom for women, necessary not only for India but also for the betterment of the lives of the women. Nationalist leaders promised that there would be full suffrage. See the condition accepted by our political leaders. These nationalist leaders promised that there would be full suffrage for all women, all men and all women after independence. So the arguments taken by these women and pressure to the nationalist leaders always help to every woman of India, because they promised that after independence all the men as well as women gets the power of suffrage. However, till then they asked women to concentrate on their anti-British struggles. और तब तक हमारे नेशनलिस्ट लीडर्स ने क्या कहा वुमेन्स को? उन्होंने कहा कि आप तो एंटी ब्रिटिश स्ट्रगल में हमारा साथ दीजिए, और जैसे ही हमारा देश आज़ाद होगा हम प्रत्येक पुरुष और प्रत्येक महिला को without any discrimination of caste, religion or any other upper or lower category, we all gave them power of suffrage, power of freedom to all women. So this one is the best thing our reformers do for the betterment of the lives of women, for the betterment of the casteism, and for the betterment of the society. Students, we will continue this chapter in our next part, so stay with us. Have a nice day.